Alexander, we will start the session after 5 minutes.
Okay, sir.
All right, Alexander. Shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, guys. So, okay, only you are attending this session. All right, no problem. So, Alexander, we were doing this chapter production function, and in this chapter we have discussed the meaning of the production, wherein I have explained that production is a process of converting the input into output. And the input that are used in the process of production are collectively known as the factors of production that may include raw material, machine, electricity, building, labor, or any other thing. All of these are collectively known as the factors of production. Then factors of production can be broadly categorized into two parts, fixed and the variable factor. Fixed factor are those factors that keep on, that basically remain same throughout the production process. And variable factor are all those factors that keep on changing from with the level of production. As we increase the production, the requirement of the variable factor will also increase. And if we reduces the production, then the requirement of the variable factor will also decline. Then using factors of production, we produces product. Product can be further categorized into three parts. Products can be total product or the marginal product or the average products. All right. Total product are the product by basically total product are the product which are produced by applying all the factors of production. Average product means the production per unit of labor, and marginal product means output produced by adding one extra labor. So whatever the production that we are able to generate by adding one extra unit of variable factor, that will be known as the marginal product. After discussing all of these things, we have started one very important concept of this chapter, that was law of variable proportion. So wherein I have explained that law of variable proportion is a law related to the production that applies to a short run period. Law of variable proportion is not a long run concept. So it is a short run concept, and it states that if a producer keep on adding the labors or the variable factor with the same amount of fixed factor, then what will happen? It says that initially the marginal product will increase, and after a certain point marginal product will start decreasing. And if at this point producer did not stop, and he basically did not stop adding the variable factor, then what will happen? Then the marginal product will eventually becomes negative.
Negative.
Okay, so this is what law of variable proportion says. And we have understood this law based on this illustration that, let's say there is one labor, then we have assumed that there are three machines, and this one labor is working, everything is doing on his own. So because there is a lot of work pressure on this only one labor, so he's only able to contribute 10 output in the entire month. So his overall marginal product will be 10. So as we added more labor, the marginal product start increasing, and after a certain point it starts to decline, and eventually it becomes 0. And when we have added more labors, then it eventually becomes negative. So that we have understood the concept of law of variable proportion through this illustration. Then we have also made the diagram of the law of variable proportion. I think it is also clear to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we will be starting this session from this point onward. So let's first of all, just a minute. So Alexander, there are certain assumptions of law of variable proportion. We will be doing those assumptions first, and then we will be moving forward to the next topic. In fact, the last topic of this chapter, that will be relationship between the total product and the marginal product. Just a minute. Okay. So we are clear about law of variable proportion, but there are certain assumptions of law of variable proportion. Alexander, assumptions basically means assumptions are certain conditions that should be fulfilled so as to apply this law. So law of variable proportion requires, the first requirement of law of variable proportion is that presume that technology is constant. Technology is assumed to be constant. Technology is constant. That means we will presume that there is no updation or outdation in the technology. Whatever the kind of technology that producer is using, that will remain constant throughout the production. Let's say if a producer is using latest machines for production, then this machine will not get outdated throughout the production. And let's say if is using outdated machines for the purpose of production, then throughout the production we will assume that the machine will not get updated. So whatever the kind of technology that producer must be using during the production, we are presuming that technology remains constant. It will remain constant throughout the production. Only then law of variable proportion can be applied. So this is the first assumption in the law of variable proportion. Then second assumption of law of variable proportion is that law of variable proportion is a short run concept. Short run concept basically means that law of variable proportion might not be applicable when you are observing a business or a production cycle during a longer period of time. So law of variable proportion will only hold true. It will only hold true if you analyze any production process in a short period, a short span of time only. If you are analyzing any business, any production process in a short span of time, then only this law of variable proportion may be applicable. Okay, in the long run, it might not be applicable as it is getting applied in the short run. And one more thing, because it is a short run concept, therefore, there are two types of factors. Listen to me very carefully. See, first of all, on the basis of time period, a production can be categorized into two stages, two time frames. One is called the short run period, and the other is called the long run period. So from the perspective of the time period, we can categorize the business into two categories: short run period or the long term period, or the long run period. Just long run period, and the short run period. So what is actually short run or the long run? So short run basically means short run is a period where factors of production are can be categorized into two parts: fixed factor and the variable factor. Fixed factor and the variable factor. In the short run, we categorize the factors as the fixed and the variable factor. So what is long run period? Long run is a period where all the factors are the variable factor. There is no concept of fixed factor. No concept of fixed factor. Every factor is a variable factor only. So that is the basic difference between the long run and the short run. So as you can recall, I'm pretty sure that you will be able to recall that while discussing the production law of variable proportion, we have discussed that there are two types of factors now. There was few machines that will remain constant, and then there are certain labor that will be keep on increasing. So we have categorized all the factors into two categories: fixed and the variable factor. That proves that we were discussing the law of variable proportion in context of short run. If we would have been discussing the law of variable proportion in the long run concept, then there will be no fixed factor. There will be only all the factors must be considered as the variable factor only. So while discussing the law of variable proportion, we will be presuming that we are talking or we are analyzing a business process or the production process during short run period only. We are not talking about the long run we are not considering any business or the production process in the long run context. Is that clear?
Yes, sir. So does that mean in long run the business, the machines would be variable factors?
Yeah, every factor is a variable factor in the long run.
Okay.
See, it is simple to understand. Let's say you have heard of barista, right? Barista is
Yes, sir.
it is a cafe, right?
Yes.
So let's say you have visited the barista, let's say on 1st of January. Then you again visit the same cafe on 30th January. So do you think you are going to notice any changes in the cafe? Do you think furniture will be changed? Do you think labors will be changed, or anything will be changed during the span of 30 days only?
No.
No, everything will remain same, right?
Yes.
Only what factors will be changing? So raw material might be changing.
Yeah.
Depending upon the number of customers visiting there, raw material must be changing. and all other things like the space will remain same, furniture will remain same, lighting will remain, everything will remain same. Why everything is same? Because you are analyzing the business process within 30 days only. But let's say you have visited the barista as on 1st January 2022, and then again you visit the barista after, let's say, 10 years. So 10 years is a long period of time. So tell me, when you go there after 10 years period, do you think there might be there is a possibility that the space might change? They might expand the size of the business, the basically the area. There is a possibility that they may rent the other space. Yes,
Yeah, yes,
lighting may
sir.
be changed, furnitures may be changed, everything, machine may be changed. So after a period of 10 years, you will notice that everything is changed. But in short run, all the things remain constant except few things. So therefore, in the long run, we assume that everything which is fixed in the short run will become the variable in the long run. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So therefore, while we were discussing the law of variable proportion, as I have already discussed that while discussing law of variable proportion, we have presumed that there is a fixed factor, then there is a variable factor. And as soon as I have told you that there is a fixed and variable factor, you can clearly identify that we are talking about the short run concept. We are not talking in context of the long run, because in case of long run, there will be no fixed factor. Every factor will be only the variable factor. Is that clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then we have next assumption. Next assumption is law of variable proportion only applies in the field of production. It only applies to the field of production. To the field of production. That means law of variable proportion might not be applicable in other field. Like for example, if you are analyzing a production process, then there is a possibility that at the initial stage, when you will add more labors, your marginal product will increase. Then after a certain point, your marginal product starts to decline, and eventually, finally, there may come a stage wherein your marginal product becomes negative. So all this will be happening in the production process only. But let's say if you are not analyzing any production process, if you are not talking about an entity who is dealing in the production, let's say you are talking about the company who is rendering services, service industry. If you're talking about the service industry, not the production industry. So let's say there is ISP, internet service provider. So internet service provider, what he is doing, he will be providing the internet services. So there is a possibility when he will add more labors, marginal product will keep on increasing only. There will be no decline in the marginal product. There will be no negative stage. There will be no declining stage. Getting my point? That means in the production process, there will be three stages: the increasing phase, the decreasing phase, or the negative phase. But there is a possibility that same law will not be applicable in the service sector. Therefore, we say that law of variable proportion is a law relating to the production only. It might not be applicable in the service sector or any other sector in the same way as it is getting applied in the production process. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And after that, what are the assumptions? Technology, if we have done technology will remain constant, short-term concept, it is only applicable to the field of production. And there was one more assumption. Just a minute, let me show you. Okay, so just yeah, the assumptions of the law of variable proportion is number one, state of technology is assumed to be constant. Second is, are you able to see this? Just,
Yes, sir.
okay. State of technology will remain constant. Then it is assumed that all the variable factors are equally efficient. Yeah, let me. You will be understanding this. So one of the assumption of law of variable proportion is also that all the factors, all the variable factors, all the variable factors, all the variable factor, that means all the labors especially, all the labors are assumed to be equally efficient. Equally efficient basically means that every worker is capable of doing the same activity in the same way that other labor can do. So every person is assumed to have the equal caliber, equal capability, or equal capacity, or the equal efficiency. Let's say if one person, one labor can produce 100 units in 1 hour, then we will presume that all the laborers are capable of producing 100 units in the same time frame. So every labor have the same efficiency. If a labor is capable of producing only 10 unit of output, then we will presume that all the laborers are capable of producing only 10 unit of output at a particular time period. So this is what the equal efficiency basically means. Every labor is assumed to be of equal caliber. These are the four assumptions of the law of variable proportion. So first assumption was technology will remain constant. Then it is a short run concept. Then it will apply only to the field of production. Then finally, all the variable factor is assumed to have the equal caliber or the efficiency. Tell me, Alexander, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So it is assumed that all the variable factors are equally efficient. Next assumption was that it applies to the field of production only. It might be possible that the same law is not applicable in other fields. Then it is obviously a short run concept. Why it is a short run concept? Because we have categorized all the factors into two categories, fixed and variable factor. That proves that it is not a long run concept. It is only a short run concept. Okay. All right. So we are done with the assumptions. Let's now move to the next topic. One of the last topic of this chapter is the relationship between the total product and the marginal product. So just put the heading on your notebook. Relationship between total product and the marginal product. Okay. So in order to understand this, we will first prepare a production schedule. So let's prepare units of labor or the variable factor. You can also write variable factor instead of labor. Or if you wish to write labors only, then also it will be correct. Let me write it labor only. So labor. And then we have the column for the total product. And we will also be making one more column for the marginal product. Alexander, I want you to write it down.
Yes, sir. I have written.
Okay. So let's presume these value. Labor is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. So total product, let's say the total product, when there was only one labor, the total product was 50 unit. Then when the second labor came in, total product rises to 120, then to 200, then 300, and after that 350, and then 360, then 360 again. And when the eighth labor came in, total product is 320. Okay, so these are all assumed figures. These are all hypothetical figures. So I have just taken these values randomly. Okay, now let's calculate the value of the marginal product. So marginal product will be, because first labor is producing 50 unit of output, that means marginal product will also be 50 unit.
50.
Then after, when we have added second labor, the total product rises from 50 to 120. That means the extra contribution, extra production made by the second labor is 70. So 70 will be the marginal product. Then 80 will be the marginal product. 100 will be the marginal product. 50. Then 10. Then 0. And then finally minus 40. Is it clear, Alexander? Are you clear? Are you able to calculate the marginal product now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the schedule of the production. So in this schedule, we have taken the value of the variable factor. We haven't considered the value of the fixed factor because fixed factor is anyways going to be remain constant. So we haven't taken the value of the fixed factor. Then we took the value of the total product and the margin. All of these are the hypothetical figures. Now, using this table, we can basically create the relationship between the MP and the TP. That means how MP's behavior is changing due to the TP, or how TP's behavior is changing on account of change in the MP. So let's understand this one by one. First of all, see, initially till the fourth unit of output, you can notice that marginal product is continuously rising. Yes or no? Marginal product is continuously rising. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Are you able to locate this now? Are you able to understand this?
Yes, sir.
So marginal product is continuously increasing from 50, it goes to 70, then 80 and 100. That means marginal product is increasing. Okay. Now tell me till fourth unit, what is happening to the total product?
It's increasing.
It is increasing, correct? So when it means that when marginal product increases, total product also increases. Total product also increases. Is that right?
Yes.
But total product always increases at an increasing rate. That means from 50, it rises to 120. That means how much is the change in the total product? How much is the change in the total product? 70 is the change in the total product, right?
Yeah.
That means total product increases by 70 unit. Next time from 120, it rises to 200. That means there is a increase of how many units? 80. That means TP is continuously increasing, but every time it is increasing more than the previous time. Then from 200, it rises to 300. That means now it is 100. So this shows that when MP is increasing, TP also increases. TP also, but at what rate? but at increasing rate always. Increasing rate basically means faster than the previous increasing rate. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's move to the fifth unit, fifth, sixth, and seventh. Tell me what you are noticing here in the behavior of the marginal product. What do you think? What is happening here?
Decreasing.
MP is decreasing, correct. And now tell me, when MP is decreasing, what is happening with the total product?
It is
Total product
still,
is still increasing. From 300, it rises to 350, right?
yeah,
Then again from 350, it goes to 360.
yeah,
So it shows that when MP decreases, TP keep on increasing. TP increases. But this time, TP increasing at decreasing rate. It is increasing at a degree. Let's see. From 300 to 350, it rises only 50. Then from 350 to 60, it rises 10. Then 360 to 60, it rises only 0. Is it clear now?
yes, sir.
So this shows that when MP decreases, TP goes on increasing, but it is increasing at a decreasing rate. Now, one more thing, you can notice that when marginal product is getting 0, there is no change in the total product, right? That means when marginal product becomes 0, total product becomes constant. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So when marginal product becomes 0, you can write it here. Marginal product is equals to 0. Then TP will be constant. Plus, at the same time, TP will be at its maximum value. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
360 is the maximum value of the total product. Yes. So when marginal product is 0, total product will be constant and at its maximum. All right, Alexander.
Yes, sir.
And finally, tell me what is happening on the 8th unit.
Decreasing.
Decreasing. What is decreasing?
Both
Both are
TP.
decreasing.
Yeah.
Both are decreasing, but marginal product is getting negative.
Yeah.
And total product starts to decline. Let me also, let's take one more value. Let's presume this is 250. Let's presume this is 250. So there is a reduction of minus 70. Okay. Now tell me, you can see that when marginal product is getting negative, what is happening to the total product? So total product finally starts decreasing. TP decreasing. Prior to this, TP was not decreasing at any point. At this point, it was increasing at an increasing rate. At this point, it was still increasing, but at a decreasing rate. And only at this point, it starts to decline. And when it is declining, when marginal product becomes negative. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So considering all of these, we can create relationship between the TP and the MP. Let me show you how we will be doing. We will do that. Just a minute. Okay. So the first relationship between the TP and the MP will be, I want you to write it down.
Okay.
First relationship will be when marginal product increases, total product also increases. This is the first relationship. But at what rate? But at an increasing rate. Increasing rate. Okay. Then the second relation will be when TP decreases, not TP, when MP when MP decreases, TP still increases, but this time, but at decreasing rate. Then we can write one more relation. When marginal product becomes negative, tell me, Alexander, what happens to the total product when marginal product becomes zero? When marginal product becomes zero, what
Uh,
happens to the total product?
Total product, it remains constant.
Correct. Maximum and constant. So total product reaches its maximum and becomes constant. This is the third relationship. Then we have the fourth relationship as well. So fourth will be when marginal product is negative, then what happens to the total product, Alexander?
The total product finally starts reducing.
Total product starts to decline. So these are the four relationships between the TP and MP. Let me know when you are done. You're writing it down?
Yes, sir.
Please write it down and let me know when you are finished.
Sir, I'm done.
Okay. So Alexander, we can also understand the relationship between the TP and MP on the diagram as well. Because sometime in the examination, you will be asked the relationship between TP and MP, and you may also be asked to express the relationship by preparing the diagram. So you need to prepare the diagram in the examination as well. So let me show you how it will be prepared. So we will take the x-axis and the y-axis. On the y-axis, we will be representing the value of the total product. And the marginal product. Marginal. And on the y-axis, x-axis, we will be taking the value of the labors, units of the labor, labors. Or the variable factor, you can also write variable factor. So let's first prepare the diagram for the total product, as we have already understood while covering the law of variable proportion that total product always increases at increasing rate initially. So it will form a convex shape curve like this, and after a certain point it will start increasing at a decreasing rate. So it will form a concave shape curve, then it will be constant, and finally it will starts to decline. This will be the diagram of the total product. Is that clear, Alexander?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, till the point total product is increasing at increasing rate, till this point marginal product will keep on increasing at increasing rate. Sorry, marginal product will be increasing, and till the point at this point when total product is basically becoming zero, becoming constant, in front of this same point, marginal product will be 0. So we will now draw the diagram for the marginal product. Marginal product will increase, will start from the same point. It will increase till this point. Okay. And after that, it will decline. Okay. And from this point onward, it will become negative. So this is the marginal product. So on the diagram as well, you can see that initially, okay, so you can see marginal product is increasing and total product is still also increasing, but at increasing rate. And from this point onwards, you can see marginal product is decreasing and total product is still increasing, but at a decreasing rate. And from this point onwards, you can see marginal product is becoming negative, and then finally total product is also decreasing. Tell me, Alexander, is the diagram clear to you?
Yes, sir.
And are you able to understand the relationship between MP and TP on this diagram as well?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is it. This is the relationship between the TP and MP. So there is one more relationship in this chapter, that is the relationship between the total product, average product and the marginal product. Okay, shall we move to the next topic? Relationship between the AP and MP, or you are still drawing it?
No, it's okay.
Okay. So the next topic is the relationship between average product and margin. So we will be drawing one more table again. Labors, then the total product, marginal product, and the average product. Please write it down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. We will take the same values as we did in the previous one. So we have started this from 50, then 120, 800, 200, then 300, then 350, 360, 340, and 270. Now we will be calculating the marginal product. So marginal product will be same, 50, 670, 80, 100, 50, 10, minus 40, and minus 70. Now also calculate average product. So Alexander, what
Yes,
is the
sir.
formula for calculating average product?
TP divided by L.
TP divided by L, correct. So 50 divided by 1, we will get 50. Then 120 divided by 2, 60. Then 200 divided by 3. 200 divided by 3, we will get 66.66. We can write it as 66.67, rounding it off. 300 divided by 4, 75. Then 350 divided by 570, 360 divided by 690, and 340 divided by 7, 48.57. And last is 270 divided by 270 divided by 8, 33.75. Done, Alexander?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's now create the relationship between AP and MP. Okay. So you can see that when MP is just a minute. MP is okay. Till the fourth unit, you can see MP is greater than AP. Till this point, you can see MP is greater than AP at every unit of labor. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
If you ignore the first unit of labor, if you only basically analyze the second, third, and fourth unit, you will notice that at the second, third, and fourth unit, at all the unit, MP is greater than the AP, right?
Yes.
At the second unit, it is 70 greater than AP, that is 60, then 80 greater than 66, then 100 greater than 75. So now you can also notice that till the point marginal product is greater than the average product, you will notice one point, that marginal product is continuously increasing. Is that right? 50, 60, 66, 75. It is increasing, yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes. Just a minute. It should not be. Let me correct it. It should be 16. Okay. So we can say that till the point marginal product remains greater than the average product, what happens to the average product? Average product increases. This is the first relationship. The average product increases till the point marginal product is greater than the average product. Okay. Now,
Yes.
now beyond the fourth unit, fifth, sixth, seventh, or eighth unit, at all the unit, you can notice that now marginal product is less than the average product. Is that right? Marginal
Yes.
product is less than the average product. So till the point marginal product is less than the average product, you can notice one thing, that average product is continuously decreasing. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Average product is declining from 75, it goes down to 70, then 60, then 48, then 33. All right now? Okay. So this is the two relationship that you can clearly able to see through this table. There is one more relationship that we are not able to locate on the diagram, on the table. But there is one more relationship, which is when MP actually becomes equals to AP, what will happen to the AP? When AP, let's say when MP is greater than AP, obviously AP increases. When MP is less than AP, then AP will be declining. But what will happen if MP and AP both will become equal? Then at that point, AP will become constant. And at the same time, it will also be at its maximum point. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
By chance, we are not able to see this relationship on this table. Okay. But this usually happens that when MP is exactly equal to AP, at that point, AP will be constant and it will be at its maximum value. So these are the three clear relationship between the MP and AP. Then there may be one more relationship that you can write, that MP, you can see in this table as well, MP is getting negative. That shows that MP can be MP can be 0, number one, correct? MP can be 0, yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
MP can be negative also, answer is yes. So MP can be negative, MP can be 0, but AP can never be 0. It can never be 0. and neither it can be negative. So these are the four relationship between the AP and the MP. Is it clear, Alexander?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now if you want to draw the diagram of the AP and MP, how you are going to do that, let me also show you. So in the diagram, we will be writing average product on the y-axis and also the marginal product and again on x-axis we will be writing the labels. Okay, now average product, let's first draw the diagram for the marginal product. As we know that marginal product initially increases and it starts to decline. So marginal product will go something like this. It will increase initially, then it will decline, it will even become zero. It will become zero and finally it will become negative. So this is the diagram for the marginal product. Now on the same diagram, if you will be making the curve for the average product, it will be something like this. Initially it will always remain below the marginal product. It will increase but it will remain below. Now it will become constant and finally it will start declining. So this is the average product. This is the diagram for the average product. Okay, now you can see, let's give it a name. The point of intersection, let's name it point A. So I'm sure you can see that prior to this point, before this point, you can see that MP is greater than AP, right? Yellow line is the MP line, MP curve, and the green line is the AP curve. So you can clearly see that MP is greater than AP. Is that right?
Yes.
And also you can see that till marginal product is greater than the average product, till then average product is continuously increasing. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Then after the point of intersection, what happens? Marginal product is less than the average product, right? So in this entire area, you can see average product is less than the marginal product. Sorry, marginal product is less than the average product. So when marginal product is less than average product, what is happening to the average product? So the average product is declining. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Now tell me, at the point of intersection, what is the situation? So at the point of intersection, MP is exactly equal to AP. Is that right? Okay. And when MP is equal to AP, AP is constant, and you can also see that it is at its maximum point. This is the maximum point of the AP. Okay. So AP is constant as well as maximum. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Through diagram, you can also see that MP is also getting zero. It is getting negative as well. So this is getting zero as well as it can also get negative. We can see it on the diagram. But as far as the average product is concerned, average product can never be zero, first of all, nor it can be negative. Is it clear, Alexander?
Yes, sir.
So these are the four relationships between the MP and AP. So we did four relationship in the TP and MP as well, and the same four relationship in the MP and AP. Relationships are different, but total relationships are four. Okay, so can you take the screenshot of this relationship between TP and MP? This we have already covered. Let me know when you are done.
Yes, I'm done.
Then these relationship AP and MP. Please read it once. Until marginal product is more than the average product increases. That is right. Until marginal product is less than the average product, then average product decreases. And when marginal product is exactly equals to the average product, then at that point, average product becomes equals to the, it will become constant and it reaches its maximum point. And fourth relationship, when marginal product can be zero. In fact, it can be negative also, but the average product can never be zero, nor it can be negative. Tell me, is there any doubt?